How are you feeling today? You think you're the one choosing what to watch, but the truth is, your brain is choosing for you, silently, precisely, and almost impossible to resist. Right now, as you're listening, a part of your brain, the region responsible for decision making, is calculating whether to keep listening or switch to something more pleasant. It does this thousands of times a day. Not because you lack focus, but because your brain is simply doing its job, conserving energy to survive. Long ago, when humans still had to hunt to stay alive, conserving energy meant survival. But today, in a world full of technology and comfort, that same mechanism has become a double-edged sword. Because now, your energy is no longer threatened by wild beasts, but by a world designed to steal your attention. Every app, every game, every notification is programmed by teams of behavioral psychologists with one single goal: to keep you hooked for as long as possible. They don't sell products, they sell your attention. And do you know what's more unsettling? They understand your brain better than you do. They know how to make your dopamine spike with a single ping. They know exactly how many seconds you'll hesitate before tapping next video. They know what your brain is addicted to, and they give you exactly that. Have you ever noticed? The more things you like, the less happy you feel. The more things that make you laugh, the harder it is to feel peace. It's not that you've lost your emotions. It's that your brain has been reprogrammed to chase easy pleasure. The world no longer steals your time. It steals your ability to enjoy what's real. And when you can no longer find joy in stillness, you begin to live in a stream of noisy moments, but empty ones. Yet here's the interesting part. If the brain can be hacked, it can also be reprogrammed. If it can learn to crave easy pleasure, it can also learn to find happiness in effort. What you're about to hear isn't motivational advice. It's the biological mechanism of willpower itself. Let me show you how the brain calculates every decision and why sometimes it's you who ends up defeating yourself. Have you ever noticed that every time you're about to start something important, your brain quietly whispers a very convincing line? It's okay, you can do it later. And strangely enough, you believe it. Not because you lack willpower, but because your brain is calculating. It is an emotional investor, always weighing, where should I invest my energy to gain the most in return? That mechanism is called the energy conservation principle, a survival program that has existed for hundreds of thousands of years. Back then, when our ancestors lived in the wild, saving energy meant staying alive. Run less, rest more, eat when you can, and avoid danger. That was how they survived. But when the world changed, the brain didn't. It still lives in prehistory. It doesn't know you're sitting safely in a room. It only knows this: effort, danger, conserving energy, survival. So when you plan to study for 1 more hour, your brain doesn't think, this is good for my future. It only thinks, tiring, uncertain results, stop. But when you pick up your phone, it thinks, fast, fun, easy, safe. And it gives you the green light. The modern world understands this better than you do. Every app, every game, every social platform is designed to deceive that very calculation system. It makes you feel like you're being rewarded, when in truth, you're just handing over your energy without realizing it. And every time you choose easy, your brain learns one more thing. Avoiding effort is right, delaying is safe. Over time, it builds a neural pathway of avoidance, a trail that becomes smoother the more you walk it until you lose the ability to step off it. At that point, you're no longer choosing easy. You're simply following your own old path. But here's a truth few ever mention. The brain doesn't hate effort. It only hates uncertainty of reward. When it doesn't know what it will gain, it retreats. But when it's convinced the reward is real, it can endure almost anything. That's why those who find meaning can work tirelessly without needing motivation, because to them, the brain has already been convinced this effort is worth it. The problem isn't that you lack willpower, it's that you haven't learned how to revalue the reward inside your brain. And the key to doing that is dopamine. You've probably heard someone say that dopamine is the happiness hormone, right? It sounds true, but in fact, it's one of the biggest misunderstandings in neuropsychology. Dopamine isn't the chemical that makes you happy. It's the chemical that makes you want to be happy. The difference seems small, but it changes the entire way you live. Because dopamine isn't released when you receive a reward, it's released when you anticipate it. It doesn't appear when you finish a delicious meal, but when you smell the food being cooked. Not when you read a message, but when you hear that ping and think someone might be thinking of you. That's why you can scroll for hours and still not remember a single thing you saw. Each swipe is a promise. Maybe this next one will be more interesting. Your brain is flooded with dopamine in anticipation, not in enjoyment. And that's where the trap lies. The more quick pleasures you consume, the more your brain gets used to expectation without fulfillment. That's why when you put your phone away, everything ordinary, a book, a conversation, a lesson, feels dull. You feel nothing, not because you've lost interest, but because your brain has shut down its ability to feel real reward. In science, this phenomenon is called downregulation, a process where when the brain receives too much easy dopamine, it begins to reduce its number of dopamine receptors to protect itself from overload. In other words, you haven't lost motivation. You've lost your sensitivity to happiness. Imagine hearing a beautiful song for the first time. You're moved deeply. By the 10th time, the feeling fades. By the 50th, you feel nothing. That's exactly what's happening to an entire generation. We're addicted to the feeling of almost happy and have forgotten the feeling of being truly alive. You're not lazy. You're just living in an environment where fake joy is produced faster than real joy can arrive. And when dopamine is consumed like fast food, your brain begins to starve, not for energy, but for meaning. Your problem isn't a lack of motivation, it's an addiction to anticipation. You're not chasing happiness, you're chasing the feeling of almost reaching it. But here's the good news. If dopamine can make you addicted to meaningless things, it can also be reprogrammed to make you addicted to depth. It begins with understanding the relationship between effort and reward. When you learn how to feed dopamine correctly, your brain stops craving ease and starts longing for growth. There is something strange about our time. We have every tool to save time, yet there is no patience left to live in the time we have. We can order food with one tap, meet someone with one swipe, but can't sit still for 5 minutes without checking our phone. We say we're busy, but in truth, most of that time is being drained by things designed to keep your eyes from looking away. The modern world doesn't need to force you to do anything. It only needs to make you stop wanting what is deep. And the easiest way to do that is to make you addicted to instant pleasure. When your dopamine is constantly fired by easy rewards, the brain starts changing the way it evaluates everything. Things that once brought you real joy, reading, learning, creating, exercising, deep conversations, suddenly feel heavy. Not because they have become less interesting, but because your brain has been programmed to think, no instant pleasure, not worth doing. That is the disease of the modern age, a generation exhausted amid comfort, a generation that has everything but lacks the most essential thing, the ability to be still with themselves. And the painful truth is, we think we're living fully, but in reality, we're just running away from emptiness. We turn on music when we feel lonely, play videos when we're tired, we scroll endlessly when we don't know what to do with silence, we fear stillness because in stillness we must face ourselves. But if you look deeper, you'll see there's nothing wrong with you. You're not weak nor unfocused. Your brain has simply been conditioned to fear effort, to fear slowness, and to fear quiet. It believes peace is meaningless and noise is safety. But the truth is the opposite. When you can no longer find joy in the slow things, it means the world has stolen from you your capacity to feel. And if you want to reclaim it, you must learn to unplug from that addiction. Because the cruelest thing isn't that you lose focus. It's that you're still alive, but no longer feel alive. And the good news is, the brain can learn again. If it was once hacked, it can also be recoded, reprogrammed. That mechanism has a name, dopamine detox. You know, the miracle of the brain is that it can always recover. Even after being hacked, even after being numbed by easy pleasure, it still holds the ability to rewrite itself. And that journey begins with two very simple words, dopamine detox. But don't let the word detox fool you. You can't eliminate dopamine. It's a natural part of being alive. You don't need to fight it. What you need is to rebuild your relationship with it, because dopamine, in essence, isn't bad. It's just that you've allowed others to use it for you. Imagine your dopamine system as a light switch in a room. For years, you've kept it on the brightest setting through social media, fast food, short videos, and endless news and entertainment. That artificial light made you used to the idea that everything must shine instantly. Then one day, when you turn the lights off, natural light, soft, warm, slow, feels like darkness. Dopamine detox isn't about turning off the light, it's about dimming it, so your eyes and your brain can learn to see real light again. When you start unplugging from sources of quick dopamine, something remarkable happens. Your brain begins to recalibrate its sensitivity. Those dull dopamine receptors start to reopen, and gradually, things that once felt boring begin to come alive again. A book that suddenly inspires you, a workout that makes you feel strong, an evening offline that fills you with peace. That's not you changing. That's your brain returning to its natural state. But to reach that point, you have to accept one truth. The early phase of detox isn't pleasant. Your brain will react, it will resist, it will make you feel bored, restless, and drained because it's been used to high doses of dopamine every few minutes. And that very moment is where most people give up. They mistake discomfort for failure. But in fact, that discomfort is the sign of healing. Like someone going through withdrawal, the initial pain isn't the illness getting worse. It's the body starting to cleanse itself. Your brain works the same way. Discomfort isn't a loss of energy. It's energy being pulled back from the wrong places, preparing to be redistributed. Dopamine detox doesn't teach you to give up joy. It teaches you how to feel joy again, in a real, natural, and deeper way. This journey doesn't demand iron willpower. It asks for gentle patience. Because once you pass the first phase, your brain begins to reprogram itself. And from that point on, effort no longer feels like suffering. It becomes a new source of inspiration. When you begin a dopamine detox, things won't be as easy as people claim. In fact, it can feel so uncomfortable that you'll want to stop. You'll find yourself unable to sit still. Your hands reaching for your phone unconsciously, your mind blank, your heart restless, and everything suddenly feels terrifyingly meaningless. But I want you to understand this clearly. That emptiness you feel is not a sign of failure. It's a sign that your brain is recovering. Your brain has been used to receiving rewards every few minutes, a swipe, a notification, a ping. Now, you suddenly take all of that away. It's like cutting off oxygen from an addict of easy pleasure. So the brain reacts, It resists, it screams, and it urges you to do something to escape the silence. That's why the first days of detox always feel terrible. Not because you're doing it wrong, but because you've reached the exact point the brain most wants to avoid. That space without dopamine, without stimulation, without noise, is where stillness lives. And in that stillness, you begin to hear yourself. The feeling is like drawing poison out of your nervous system. At first, it hurts, but each day you refuse to give in, a small part of your brain begins to wake up. A region once numbed under layers of false stimulation starts to come alive again. And the miracle is, the discomfort doesn't last forever. Typically, this phase lasts only a few days, from 3 to 7 at most. That's when you need patience, not pressure. Don't try to force yourself to be happy. Just allow yourself to stay inside the discomfort without running away. Because each time you don't escape, your brain learns one vital truth. Even without fast dopamine, I am still okay. And once that lesson repeats enough times, the brain begins to generate slow rewards on its own. One day, you'll notice something quietly different. In the morning, you no longer feel the urge to check your phone. A book suddenly becomes fascinating. A workout leaves you fulfilled. An evening of silence feels peaceful instead of empty. That's when your brain starts sending signals of life again. The pain you feel during detox is no different from muscle soreness after your first workout. It's not collapse, it's rebirth. Without that pain, no new strength could ever form. So if you're in that phase now, feeling bored, empty, unmotivated, please don't give up, because that is the best signal your brain could ever send you. I'm learning how to live again without stimulation. If you simply stop doing the addictive things, your brain will fight back because it cannot stand the void. When you take away its old source of dopamine, the brain will demand a new one to fill the gap. And if you don't consciously replace it, it will drag you right back into the same old habits. That's why the secret of a successful detox journey doesn't lie in how much you remove, but in what you replace it with. The first step is to identify the highest dopamine source in your life. Ask yourself, what gives me the most pleasure with the least effort? It could be social media, short videos, games, junk food, or empty conversations that fill emotional voids. That is the artificial dopamine source you need to temporarily disconnect from, not forever, just for a while so your brain can rebalance itself. The second step is to choose replacement activities. Don't look for things that offer equal stimulation. Choose slower, more real, more present activities. For example, instead of scrolling online, read a physical book. Instead of eating to kill boredom, cook a full meal from scratch. Instead of watching videos while walking, take a silent walk. Instead of listening to music to forget, write a few lines by hand. Instead of mindless texting, call a real friend. These may seem boring at first, but be patient, insignia, because your brain is relearning how to feel satisfied without stimulation. In the first few days, you won't feel anything special. In fact, you'll probably feel empty. But then, something miraculous happens. Dopamine begins to reappear, not when you receive the reward, but as soon as you prepare to do the activity. When you open a book, your brain remembers, last time this made me feel calm. When you start exercising, it thinks, I'm about to feel that good sensation again. When you begin writing, it quietly releases dopamine because it knows the reward is coming. That's how your brain gets reprogrammed. There's nothing mystical about this process. It's simply your natural instinct being restored to its rightful place. Every small action you take, every slow choice you patiently keep, sends a signal to your brain that says, happiness doesn't come from ease, it comes from presence. And the beautiful thing is, after some time, you'll find yourself beginning to love the things you once feared. Loving silence, loving reading, loving focus, loving the feeling of doing nothing and still feeling complete. That's when your dopamine has finally balanced itself. You no longer chase rewards. You live within the process itself. The problem for most people isn't that they lack discipline, but that they don't know how to rebuild joy within discipline. And once you learn that, discipline stops being a burden and becomes freedom. There's one thing most of us don't realize, that what we often call happiness is in fact only temporary pleasure. And this confusion is what makes us feel so exhausted amid things that seem fun. Pleasure comes fast, strong, and easily. It appears when you're given something, a good meal, a new notification, a look of approval, a video that makes you laugh. It's like a flash of light, bright but fleeting. Satisfaction, on the other hand, is the opposite. It arrives slowly and gently and lasts longer. It doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need praise. It only needs you to know that you've done something right for yourself. It's the feeling after finishing a long project, after surpassing a limit, or simply staying calm in a situation where you normally would have lost control. The problem is modern society glorifies pleasure. Everything is designed to be easier, faster, and more fun. We live in an era where dopamine is cheap, but satisfaction has become a luxury. You can go through a day full of laughter and still go to bed feeling empty. Not because you weren't happy, but because your happiness wasn't deep enough. Your brain received dopamine, but not meaning. Interestingly, your brain can clearly distinguish between these two types of rewards. Pleasure activates the primitive regions of the brain, where dopamine surges quickly and fades just as fast. Satisfaction activates the prefrontal cortex, the area linked to maturity, where dopamine is released more slowly but more steadily. And when you chase pleasure for too long, the brain gradually loses its ability to feel satisfaction. It becomes like a child accustomed to candy, unable to enjoy a real meal. But when you start slowing down, focusing on things that require presence, your brain relearns how to experience slow dopamine, a kind of joy that doesn't need laughter, doesn't need to be seen, yet fills you completely. Think back to the last time you did something truly difficult, and at the end, you felt calm. Not excited, not euphoric, just calm. That is satisfaction. That feeling is something fast dopamine can never give. And it is the deepest reward of the detox journey. When you live by pleasure, every day becomes an escape. When you live by satisfaction, every day becomes a homecoming. You begin to feel joy in things others find boring. You find peace in silence. You no longer need recognition, because your effort itself becomes the reward. The difference between joy and depth is like the difference between brightness and warmth. One dazzles you, but blinds you. The other soothes you and makes you stay. And when you understand this, you stop searching for joy outside and begin building it from within. That's when dopamine ceases to be your controller and becomes your companion. A natural current of energy that nourishes your presence instead of pulling your strings. There is a special moment in this journey when you suddenly realize you no longer have to force yourself. No more morning battles to push yourself to work. No more tug of war between should and want. Instead, there is a strange, quiet ease. Your brain begins to choose what's right without needing to be told. That's the moment discipline stops being a burden and becomes a natural reflex. Just as your body knows how to breathe, your brain learns how to find focus. And to understand why this happens, we have to look at the brain's internal mechanism. Each time you delay gratification, each time you resist instant pleasure, your brain activates a very special region, the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for reason, self-control, and decision-making. Conversely, each time you choose the easy way, your brain activates the limbic system, the primitive emotional center that only knows do what feels good. These two regions are like two friends living inside you. One short-sighted, craving pleasure now. The other is long-sighted, seeking a meaningful life. And every action you take is a vote. For who gets to lead your brain? Each time you resist temptation, each time you complete something you once avoided, you're retraining your brain, strengthening the region of self-control. It's like going to the gym for your mind. Every disciplined decision is a mental weightlift. Repeat it long enough and your brain restructures itself. The neural pathways of avoidance fade, while the pathways of steady action grow stronger. And one day you'll realize you no longer need to try to focus, because focus has become a biological habit. Neuroscience calls this process neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reshape itself based on what you repeat every day. If you choose discipline today, your brain records the message, difficulty is safe. If you surrender to ease, it records, avoidance is rewarding. There is no neutral ground. Every second you live is a new line of code, rewritten into yourself. What's astonishing is, after a while, you'll begin to feel joy in effort naturally. You'll feel light when working deeply, excited when learning something new, and inspired when overcoming yourself. Because at that point, dopamine has been redirected. It no longer spikes for easy rewards. It rises as you move closer to what's meaningful. This is why truly disciplined people don't need to force themselves to work. They're not addicted to results, they're addicted to the process. Every difficult step becomes a reward. Every moment of patience becomes a pure dose of dopamine, generated from within, not granted by anyone. When you reach this stage, discipline is no longer a fight against yourself. It becomes a partnership with yourself. Every action you take becomes the expression of a healed nervous system, where effort and joy coexist as one. And from here, you enter the final stage of the journey, when change is no longer about forcing the brain, but about living in harmony with it. That is inner freedom, the place where there's nothing left to resist because you have become the gentle master of your own mind. At some point in this journey, you'll realize true freedom is not the ability to do everything you want, but the ability to choose what's right even when it's hard. We used to think freedom meant indulgence, doing whatever we like, resting when we're tired and enjoying when we feel good. But that's not freedom. That's the rule of instinct. It's when dopamine controls you and you mistake it for your choice. In truth, most of the time, we don't control our brains. We simply react to them. Reacting to the ping of a notification, reacting to the fear of being left behind. Reacting to the subtle nudges of society that push you to act, to buy, and to live like everyone else. But then, when you begin to detach from all that noise, something quiet happens. You start hearing your inner voice again. Not the voice that says, you should, but the one that breathes softly. Does this truly bring me peace? That question is the beginning of freedom of mind. You're no longer pulled by dopamine. Nor do you need discipline to pull yourself back. Everything starts to balance itself naturally. When you see what's right, you do it. When you see what's wrong, you stop. No forcing, no resisting, just a gentle clarity. Freedom doesn't come from eliminating desire, but from no longer being ruled by it. You still enjoy pleasure, but you no longer need it to feel alive. You still have goals, but you no longer use them to prove your worth. You still strive, but your effort now comes from calmness, not fear. And then you begin to experience a different kind of happiness, a quiet one. It doesn't need to be shared, doesn't need recognition. It arises from the simple knowing, I'm living right even if no one sees it. When the brain stops chasing easy rewards and rediscovers joy in what's hard, something miraculous happens. You begin to love your own effort, not because it brings results, but because it makes you feel real. True freedom is not perfection. It is a harmony between intention and action, between what you know is right and what you actually do. And when those two meet, peace appears. A peace that doesn't need to be sought because it is you. You don't need to become a better version of yourself. You only need to return to being the gentle master of your own mind. When that happens, dopamine is no longer the enemy. Discipline is no longer pressure, and both simply become the natural rhythm of a healed mind. And perhaps when you reach this point, you'll understand that the greatest happiness isn't in gaining more, but I'm no longer being pulled away. So, if you're somewhere in the middle of this journey, don't rush. All real change takes time. Let your brain relearn how to live, and let your heart relearn how to be still. Because in the end, what you've been searching for was never outside. It's still here, in the silence, in your breath, in you. And that's the content of this episode. If you feel a sense of resonance with these reflections, don't forget to follow the channel and stay tuned for the upcoming episodes. See you soon. Bye.